Welcome to another episode of Bill Has Opinions, your weekly can't miss bullshit. I am Laura Lavoie, and I'm here with Bill Perkins, who has opinions.
Hooray!
We're back.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. We were off for a week, and we also learned that we have like 2 more fans. So hooray for that.
Oh yeah. How about that? We met some new fans.
Well, I already knew who they
them.
were. Yeah.
I met them.
That's
I met the new fans. You knew them from a previous life or something.
I mean, technically, even a current life, but
Okay.
I do know who they are. Hi, how are you? We have been off for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm good.
You were here for a holiday party or a Halloween party the other day.
Yeah.
Or a week and a half.
I saw you a couple times over the course of,
that's right.
thing.
We went and we did a thing too over the Halloweens.
Yeah, we did. We did some things. I don't even remember what it was now. What did we do? I remember going out to eat. That's
a
all.
burlesque show.
Oh, that right. Yeah, that was fun.
It was very fun. Here's what I learned from the burlesque show. Like, the show was fine. The people were fine. Everything was fine.
Yeah.
It's at a venue that we've gone to several times.
Yeah. And we get a laugh out of it. A laugh almost.
Yeah, but I think it occurred to me that venue is just not for me. Like,
so this is the last event you will go to at this venue?
I mean, I'll never say never.
You're not gonna write it off altogether.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a club called the 27 Club.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dive bar. And the truth is, even like when I was the age of people who would go to that kind of bar,
right?
I still wasn't the demographic of people who would go to that
you're
bar.
Not its target audience, is what you're saying.
I am not, but I had fun. It was actually the show was great. Like, it was super cool. And
it was super cool, although it was a little different than it was advertised, I would say.
Yes.
It was ostensibly it was supposed to be.
Well, it said it was called the Witch Trials. It was supposed to be like an interactive. According to the advertisement, what I thought it was like an interactive event. They said they had tarot readers. They said they had vendors. So I was expecting like an entire kind of small,
a little Halloween festival sort of.
Yeah, right. And burlesque. But it turns out what it was just the burlesque.
Yeah. And
not a single vendor, and
not
a single tarot reader.
There was a vendor. It was a bar where you could purchase alcohol.
That's true.
That was the vendor.
Which we did.
Also, the witch trials thing threw me off a little bit because it was. I mean, ostensibly it was the witch trial, but it wasn't historically based at all.
Oh no! Yes, definitely not.
It was mostly Protestants what burned witches.
Yeah. But it was hosted by a nun.
It was hosted by a couple of nuns.
So other than the Spanish Inquisition, right?
Yeah, it was really yeah. But I guess she had a really nice nun outfit she wanted to wear.
That's true. And what I will tell you, theme and everything aside, literally the single best act was a woman who was brought in a coffin and did burlesque in reverse. She came out of the coffin
and put clothes on.
Which was it was so subversive. I loved it.
You like that?
Yeah.
My favorite was the little redhead who she was the one who her act was the most like thought out to me. I can't remember, but she had a plot. She had like a ritual she was doing.
Yeah, because ostensibly all the acts were witches who then had to be.
Yeah, but most of them were. Yeah, I don't know. Like some of them where you were like, I don't like. Okay, it seems kind of random, and hers was like she had a thing going, right?
There was the woman who was dressed in full like medieval Renaissance.
Oh yeah. She was the second. Well, I don't know whether she was the first or second best. But, like I could argue
or favorite. I mean,
but no, I liked her act too. Yes. Yeah, she came
out like she was going to the Renaissance Festival, like not because everybody else was like corsets and the super sexy outfits.
Yeah,
and she came out like she was literally going to the Renaissance Festival and just took off the part.
Even her stockings were just like the long like knit stockings you wear to the Renaissance festivals. So it wasn't like it wasn't incredibly sexy per se, but but she played it well.
She sold it.
She sold it.
It was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, so it was a good time.
So so we did a bunch of Halloweeny things, and now we're past the Halloween season, fully into Thanksgiving season.
Yeah.
So we're back with a show that has nothing to do with any holiday.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what are you drinking?
Oh man! Well, right now I'm drinking the Elysian Night Owl,
We're both
which I
drinking it,
brought 2 of.
It's tasty. I love it.
It's a very good pumpkin. I'm gonna say it's in the top 4 of pumpkin beers. I definitely think what did I say? What's the one from Southern Tier?
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin is probably the best, and Pumpkin Nitro is the bestest best if you can find it. But this one's pretty darn tasty. It does a good job of melding. I always say that the job of a pumpkin beer should be to taste like pumpkin, but also pumpkin spice, but also beer at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
And some of them are like very they lean either pumpkin or they lean pumpkin spice. And then sometimes you don't taste beer at all. I don't know. But anyway, this one does a good job of doing all the things I think it should do.
Yeah, you definitely get the pumpkin out of it for sure.
You get the spicy
but
too.
the spices are also really good. And I usually err on the side because when a beer is just pumpkin, it's terrible. Like it just tastes like pumpkin water. I know we've talked about it before.
Yeah, I can't remember who did. Oh gosh, one of those ones out of the Mid-Atlantic. God damn! If I saw the label, I could,
right.
But there's one from, I want to say it's from Maryland or something like that I've had. Shipyard maybe makes it.
Maybe. Oh yeah, Shipyard. Yeah, they do make one.
And I feel like it just tastes like pumpkin water. Like to hell with that.
Like it has to have the spices. Because you know what I'm not going to do, folks? I'm literally not going to just eat pumpkin.
Right. No.
Like I'm just not going to open a can of pumpkin puree and like spoon it out.
Even that's already spiced.
That's
truthfully.
Not always.
Okay.
The puree is not. The pumpkin pie filling.
Pumpkin pie filling is, yes. Which also, yes. That you can actually just eat out of the can.
You could.
Yeah.
But and I do, and because I use pumpkin puree all the time for things, and specifically not spice.
Okay.
But
yeah, I'm thinking of the Libby's pumpkin pie filling.
Pumpkin pie filling,
which
is just straight up. You don't need to do anything.
Oh yeah, you just dump it into a crust and it's a pie.
Right, exactly. But yeah, so yeah, it's got to taste like more than just pumpkin. Yeah. And it has to also have all the flavor, all the fall flavors.
And I still want you to also be like, remind me that you're still a beer while you're at it, please.
Absolutely. Because otherwise it's just like a malt beverage. It's just a pumpkin spice wine cooler.
Yes, exactly. which I don't care for. I don't care for any flavored malt beverage usually. I still want to know it's a beer.
That's fair.
Oh, previously I want to mention I had a Kalamazoo Stout.
Oh, that's right.
That I pre-gamed with. That was a really good beer, also
from Bell's Brewing. And then I have after this one, I've got a Bed of Nails brown ale, which is, I know we've talked before. Like we don't always
love brown
ales, and it used to be one of my favorite types of beer, but this particular brown ale is still one of my very, very favorites.
It's one of the ones you can still enjoy.
Oh yeah, it's delicious. Yeah. Also, Highwire, they do these 16 ounce, like all of their packs, 6 packs are all 16 ounce, and so it's by value, it's a pretty decent.
That's true.
Purchase.
Later on, I'm drinking something I'm just finishing a thing off. It's the Wicked Weed Dr. Dank Pineapple Dream. Only because I think I'm going to want another beer, and
it's wet. And
it's wet and it's beer. So I paid for it. Those are the 3 reasons I'm going to drink it.
That's true. You keep bringing them over, like maybe someone else will drink this.
I'll be done with it after this one. This is the end of it.
And there's one more in our fridge that you brought over.
But someone else will drink that.
Yes. Well, you brought it over once when I was like, I don't have any beer. Bring me something. But then I had 2 at that point. Then I had more than enough beers, but I would have drank it if it had been the only beer available to me.
Well, maybe it'll get around to that.
One day it will.
Sooner or later, it'll be the only beer in the fridge. You'll be like, well, it'll be between that and that Cheerwine beer, and you'll be like,
God, yeah, that one's been in there for a while.
But
this is not a beer episode as much as we love beer.
No.
This episode, near and dear to our hearts, I suppose, as a comedy podcast. Right. At our core, right?
Sure.
We decided just to go all in, and this episode is about puns.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So the thing is, when you force puns, I know that it's not going to mean, like I would be able to pun it up if we weren't forcing puns.
Oh, I know. I like, that's the thing. It's like when somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, say something witty. And you're like, like, fuck.
But we're not.
I normally, like if you hadn't put me on the spot like that, I would have just been fucking witty.
I would just rolled right off.
Yeah.
Rolled right up.
But, yeah.
And we're not just going to talk about, I do have a long list of puns.
Okay, well, let's just do that. And
but,
then maybe they'll become fluid.
Well, also, but I think it's worth just having like a conversation about some things that are punny, some things that we like that are puns. We mentioned a bunch of different things.
We did. We had a little conversation earlier today.
We did. So why don't you start us off like usual?
Okay.
So puns. Why do we care? Why should everybody listening care about?
I don't remember who it is that said it, but somebody said that puns are like the lowest form of comedy, right? Like, I don't really agree with it because I think you have to be kind of clever to come up with puns. So that, like, I think the person who said it was just a person who hated puns, and they were being derisive. Right?
They were jealous. They were jealous.
They were mad because a friend of like their friend was like they were friends with James Joyce, and they were pissed off.
Exactly.
They're like, every time we're out at the bar, that motherfucker starts throwing puns around, and everybody's swooning and shit, and they're like, "Oh, he's so clever," and like, motherfucker, that's the lowest form of comedy. Is what they were.
Well, and when puns just roll off the tongue, like sometimes you just can't stop that train, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
They just
it just happens. If it happens, it has to be. It does have to be organic. I feel like forced. It's harder. But yeah, when they're good. Although God, But anyway, I do love a good pun or a pun battle or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Like I like when I'm on the internet and somebody says a pun and then like, everybody just starts punning it up. I got a friend who lives in the Mid-Atlantic, up in Baltimore that he absolutely, well, he says he hates puns, but I think he kind of secretly kind of likes it.
Because he can roll them out.
No, not that. I think he says he hates them, but like he gets so put out about it that I'm like, well, you have to acknowledge then that like that you, I don't know, like I feel like there's an acknowledgement then how clever they are, and it's just they are grown worthy. They're kind of like, so they're kind of a dad joke, right?
Oh,
it's like a single word dad joke.
Entirely dad jokes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. So they've got that campy, stupid sort of thing about them, which I get. Like that's what people might go, ugh. But man, I'll tell you, but when they're good, they're fucking good, right?
Exactly.
That's the thing about them is when they're good, they're good. Like, are there puns that suck? Sure there are. And I will be the first to admit it. If I see a dumb one, I'm like, ugh, that's really bottom of the barrel, But
well, and so I actually asked ChatGPT earlier today to give me a little insight on puns. And actually, I think it was pretty insightful, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Remember, the best puns often arise naturally in conversation and depend on the context. So the element of surprise and wordplay is what makes the pun enjoyable for many people.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? So if you're having a conversation, for example, like my beloved partner, Matt, who is also watching the show. So Matt, you're very good at puns. Feel free to just throw them in the comments at any point. But he's a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
And we have a cat, and our cat is on his website, and she's his paralegal.
Oh, that's fair.
Because that's in context and it's fucking hilarious.
Right? Yeah.
Or she could be a cat attorney at law.
I guess.
Like those are your options.
Yeah.
She's not though. She didn't go to law school. So right now she's just a paralegal.
Okay.
She has to finish her degree first. She has to finish her Puris Doctor before she can get that far. But anyway, so yes, puns. And I will say, I had a dad and he wasn't that funny.
Okay.
But dads are funny in a dad way, right? Like every once in a while he'd just say something that was stupid. You're like, okay, all right, that's funny.
I don't really remember my dad being terrible funny. He'd tell me a good dirty joke every now and again. But he wasn't witty. Like it was always like something he repeated. It was never like he wasn't like a roll off the,
right.
Like he wasn't me. Let's put it that way.
And that's why you have an hour-long internet show every week. No, that's fair. And to be fair, my dad wasn't really either. It's just every once in a while, so like half the time, and love you, Dad, miss you, but because he's dead now. But he was often his jokes were racist.
Oh.
If we're being fair, he was born in 1935. Everybody was born in 1935 made racist jokes. Like there weren't any other options.
That's the only flavor of joke they made.
You didn't know the difference. Like that was the only option. If you're born in 1935,
back then, a racist joke could just be about a different kind of white people.
My father was also Polish, and he was the king of the Polish jokes.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean that's not okay either. To be fair, but my lord, yeah, exactly. So, all right.
I thought you were going to say that he hated the Italians, and he had so many Italian jokes.
I mean, sure, but who had all the Italian jokes was my Italian mother-in-law.
Okay.
Why are you people doing this?
Well, it's like the Jewish comedians always are like, like they tell all the Jew jokes.
Make fun of yourself.
Yeah,
right.
because it's acceptable, I guess.
Yeah, when you make fun, it's the punching down. Like if you punch across, it's fine. Don't punch down, punch up. But if you punch across, like you make fun of yourself, it can be fun.
Sure, yeah.
It can be fun. I just don't like the racials. Like I don't want to make fun of myself because I have a racial makeup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think that is also a form of punching down. You know what I mean? Anyway,
I guess it could be.
Long story short.
I don't know.
But let's take a quick break. Speaking of puns, as a matter of fact, this wasn't intended.
Okay.
But there is a pun on this graphic.
Is there?
Yes, because we were going to talk about the purple onion. That's our station break. We were going to, so if you look real close, most people don't notice. You've never noticed before. The Bill Has Opinions logo has been slightly altered. I slightly altered it. It's been this way for like 3 years.
Oh my God.
Folks.
Yeah, I have never noticed
You've literally never noticed
I've
that.
never seen it, but I do have onions. It's true.
I changed it literally when we started doing graphics for this segment. I changed it then. So literally we've shown this thing like dozens of times over the years and nobody notices there's a pun on it. But anyway, it's getting to cozy season where you want to just like, hang out somewhere warm and have some nice cozy food. Oh yeah.
They do got
Jay never saw it either. Yeah, see? Y'all are very
well, it's because it just kind of blends in. You're so used to it saying opinions and onions. I mean, it's a very similar word.
It really is. It could be a pun, as it were, like Bill Has Onions.
Right.
For example.
Absolutely.
But anyway, and the purple onion has some cool stuff coming up, right?
Yeah. So in a couple weeks here, Sunday, November the 19th, is their 25th anniversary celebration featuring the likes of the Get Right Band, the Paper Crowns, and also Michael Flynn, aka Slow Runner. Michael Flynn is a local guy who lives in Saluda, but he's also a brilliant songwriter, singer. He's my favorite performer who ever plays at the Purple Onion, and I like a lot of people at the Purple Onion, but he's my absolute favorite. Like I don't miss him at all, ever. If he's there, I'm there.
Right.
But he had to change. So Michael Flynn, you might know the name because a certain general who used to work for a certain president was also named Michael Flynn.
Right.
So he discovered in the last couple of years that his name is ungoogleable, and he's changed his name back to Slow Runner, which was his performing name several years ago, like when he lived in Charleston, South Carolina, before he moved to Saluda. But anyway, he's going back to that. He's called Michael Flynn on the flyer because I think people in town know.
People in town know who he is.
Know who Michael Flynn. They know which Michael. They know they're not going to show up, and it's not going to be the guy who used to work in the Trump administration.
General Michael Flynn. Yes, nobody's gonna know.
But for his purposes, he's like, I can't go by that anymore. Anyway. That's coming up, like I said, on the 19th. That's a big deal. Like 25 years, this place has been open. I mean,
that's pretty awesome.
This will be my wife's 5th year. She bought it in its 20th, or right after its 20th. So she's kept it going for another. But anyway, and they've been running these. On our social media, she's been running these like stories If people have a good story about the Purple Onion, like something that they did there that was meaningful to them, or something, or a band they saw there, or whatever, they can write in. She hasn't got like huge number, but it's funny. She put a feeler out there, like, hey, send in your. I mean, she's even giving away a gift card or something. I think if you send in a good story.
Also, I mean, I don't have a good story, but I could make it good, right?
You make it better. I'll tell you, you'd make it better than most. So some of the ones she got was like, me and my wife eat there every Thursday. We like the Mediterranean pizza. That's the story.
Because I could say she actually did post one recently that I think it was a radio.
It was Martin Anderson from WNCW.
Yeah, and
it was a good story.
It's a good story, right? Like,
yeah. No, his was a good story.
The real reason I know what the Purple Onion is not because I didn't know you guys at all.
No, same. I actually knew about it before I met her because of WNCW. Because they've been partnered with WNCW for freaking ever. And they've always been on the concert calendar since, like, when I first moved to Asheville. I remember I'd hear that pop up all the time. And then at some point later on, I was, on an online dating site, and I met this girl, and she was cute. And and I was like, talking to her, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I work at my family's restaurant. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, like, what's, and I assumed it was just a like regular restaurant.
Right. Not a literal Western North Carolina institution.
Exactly. Yeah. And then when she said the Purple Onion, I was like, oh, I've heard of that. I mean, I hadn't been there, but I'd heard of it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like,
me too.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't been there until after I met y'all, but I knew I'd known of it for years.
because it pops up. It was like, it was always on the thing. So anyway.
And it's really good. So go check it out, especially this cozy season where you want.
Oh man, speaking of cozy, you know what? They got a dish right now. They got this little skillet. It's got gnocchi.
Oh.
And
you had me at gnocchi.
Yeah, I think it's like gnocchi and some squash and stuff. Oh my God. It's so good. Like that's a good comfort dish.
I love gnocchi. Like literally, if you just fed me gnocchi every day.
Although I'll tell you this, I've been pitching this. I've been like, hey, can I get the gnocchi skillet, but will you put pimento cheese on it? And then some prosciutto.
Oh.
And just bring it to me like that. Like you can put spinach if you just want to put something green on there, but
actually, that does not sound terrible. I would eat
the hell out of it. Like
I would totally eat that.
I'm gonna do it on a Monday night sometime when they're not busy because I don't put the kitchen out. I don't like to go off menu. But if it's a Monday night and they're like really slow, which is it's wintertime, so they're gonna be. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go in there and I'm like, anyway, the gnocchi's good, but that's my idea is to put pimento cheese. They have really good pimento cheese also.
They do, yes. That way I would normally be
even things they already. I'm not asking for something they don't have. I'm just saying, can you take the two things you do have and put them together?
Well, right, because otherwise, if they didn't have pimento cheese, I'd be like, the fuck you?
It'd be like I come in and be like, hey, could you give me some loaded French fries?
Exactly.
They don't have French fries. They don't have a fryer, so don't order anything fried. You won't get it.
Well, and frankly, that's so good because I eat fried food, man.
Yeah, there's places for that.
Nearly 50, and it just kills me these days.
No, you shouldn't even have that stuff. But I mean, I'm not saying I don't eat it, but
it's good. It's delicious.
Thankfully, I have to go out somewhere else to get it, and and most of the meals that I do eat, I eat at the Purple Onion, which nothing's fried. So good for me.
Exactly, good for your heart.
It's also the only place I get any vegetables.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Most of my vegetables come from, Blue Apron type meals.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm like, why would I buy a vegetable?
Right.
Or if I've been home alone for a while, and all I've eaten is like noodles and butter, like I really need a fucking vegetable. I need to like go out or order in sort of vegetable.
I gotta go find a salad somewhere.
Yes. Anyway, so back to the topic at hand.
Yeah.
Some puns. So. We do just have I have a ass. Well, okay, I've got a huge list of puns, and we'll actually start with this. But before I start with this, so puns, what are they? Right? It's basic wordplay.
Yeah.
Right?
So like words. Some words have two meanings, right? Like we have homonyms, which the same word means, or the same sounding word means two or three different things.
Right.
But puns sometimes are like a strained rhyme in that we use a word that sounds similar to another word. It's not a homonym per se, but it's like very similar, and you flip it into the sentence.
Right. So like a paralegal, right?
Yeah, right.
Per and para sounds similar enough.
Yeah.
Paralegal.
And you throw it in there, and then it goes, and then that's the joke, like, haha, but
and sometimes it's just straight up wordplay. Like, it's not even really like, I mean, I've got a few examples of this. Technically it's a pun, technically it's wordplay. I'm reading a book on anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down. Like,
oh yeah, that's like the one about how people who mistake etymology for etymology bug me in ways I can't put into words.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, a horse walked into the bar. The bartender says, "Why the long face?"
Horse says, "My alcoholism is killing my family." That's one of my favorite jokes I've heard in the last couple of years, and I like because I like that one because of it's not so much the pun. The long face is the pun.
The long face is the pun, but then it evolves from there.
It evolves into a juxtaposition of where it's changing your expectations of where the joke is going, and it becomes funny because now it's sad instead of funny.
And you did mention that your favorite puns are food puns and horse puns.
I did say that. Yes.
And there's there's a combination of, right? You said
I see this just popped up my feed today. There was a picture of an old news article from like the 30s or something about how some horse had become like a fiend for pastries after he got into somebody's donuts. And I said, what did I say? Oh, I said thoroughbred.
Yeah, he's thoroughbred. Yes, absolutely.
And then I thought, well, I mean, his taste for baked goods was unbridled, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was unstable.
He was. Yes, exactly. So, that brings us back to the other point: is that the best puns are subjective and based on context.
Sure.
The wordplay that happens from a conversation, and yeah, puns can be a specific word replaced for another word, and then it can also be that wordplay thing. And we mentioned businesses as puns.
Oh yeah.
To be fair, a few years ago, I feel very old. Many years ago. 30-some.
So many years ago.
No, my best friend Jill started a small jewelry making business.
Oh yeah.
Right?
She have a pun in the name?
Well, she asked people for help with making a pun, and Matt, who is very good at puns, or not making a pun, but naming her business, right? Because she was selling it like art fairs and things.
Sure.
And Matt said, "This is low-hanging fruit, Jill. Your business is called Jillry." Jillry. I mean, it's true. It's true. Uh-huh. And she did. She called it Jillry.
She was like, well, that's.
And she did that for a while. She had a whole, because she's also a graphic designer by trade, so she had a whole catalog, and she made a logo,
right,
and everything. It was great, and she would sell it art fairs and things, and yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned if
actually Ren fairs are probably a good place to hear puns also.
Oh, also,
especially if you go to one of the little performances with the the people,
because those are just dad jokes personified, right?
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I'm like, if you want to hear some puns, I bet the Ren Fair would be a good place to go hear them.
Yeah, I wish I could.
I feel like Shakespeare probably did some puns, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
He definitely did a lot of puns, and a lot of puns that we don't necessarily get because they were in, late Middle English.
Oh, that's true.
But they were puns.
There were puns at the time, and now we're like,
I don't know what that means. But
we don't get the joke because it's like slang that's died.
Right. We did a whole Shakespeare show, and you should go check that out too, by the way. But man, Shakespeare, the fact that he I can't even his work has persisted this long. Like, we're still going to see Shakespeare plays. It's just amazing to me.
That's it tells you something about it, right?
Oh, because it was fucking good.
Guy wrote a good yarn.
He really did, and in verse as well. And as far as businesses that have pun names, we talked about this too, right? Mm. Like we said right before the show, I said I will 100% patronize a business with a pun name,
and I said, so if there were a used car lot that had a punny name, like you'd be like, I'm down. Like,
well, at the very least, I would drive by it every day and laugh.
okay.
But if I needed a car, it'd be the first place I'd go.
What if it's a shitty buy here, pay here place that preys on poor people?
No, probably not. But
But
also,
it's got a pun in the name.
I would hope
It's
that
like,
like,
you're like,
I would at least still be amused. I might protest, but I'd still be amused. I'm like, yeah, you're at least funny. But you mentioned like haircut places.
oh God, they're the best. They always have a punny name. We mentioned two. I forgot what the one Matt threw one out.
Crap. Oh yeah, we mentioned a bunch. Was
Curl Up and Die is the one I remember.
Curl Up and Die is a good one.
A
Cut Above.
A Cut Above. There
Which
you go.
could also be a lawn service.
Sheer something or other.
Sheer elegance, sheer anything.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. That's another thing you'll see a lot. I remember this because there used to be a goddamn, it was one of those interactive mystery dinner theater things, and it was called Sheer Madness. But there was also the name of a hair cuttery.
Right. Absolutely. All right, but I do. So one thing we wanted to mention is people like literally and I would show the video, but we don't really have. Oh, hey, there's lots of comments, folks. Years ago, Morgan Freeman was in one of those movies where he plays God. At the end of the film, he held up a sign, basically said, "Armageddon out of here." Yes, 100%.
Like, you know what?
Best.
Def Leppard also used that same pun. Armageddon
me. Yeah, Armageddon me. Armageddon it.
Armageddon it?
Yeah, either way.
Yeah.
Armageddon something. Yes. Oh, that's right. I totally did. I worked for a I forgot this. I worked for Bar of Soap, which was a laundromat bar.
And also, yes.
Yes.
I never even put that together. Like, I didn't even get it was a pun. There you go.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're like, you don't even
right. You don't even get it. But yeah, I worked for Bar of Soap. It was a bar, but also a
laundromat.
A laundromat. So
there you go.
And but one thing we wanted, and we won't read the whole thing, and I would have shared the video, but we don't technically have the rights to it.
Sure, yeah.
So, but probably the single best, I would say way up there on a list of like ways to know puns, is from the comedy song Wet Dream by Kip and Dota.
I thought it was Adada.
Adada.
Yeah. That's how Dr. Demento pronounced it.
And I will tell you, I
know Dr. Demento, and anyway. But I would also just say Kip Adada in general, like not just this one song, because he had multiple bits, but all of his bits are puns. I think I sent you two of them today.
Wet Dream, you did the other
and
one,
also Life in the Slaw
Lane.
Lane.
Life in the Slaw Lane, which is all vegetables.
Yeah.
But Wet Dream is the one, it literally sticks with me, and I think this might be one of the reasons my sense of humor is what it is.
Okay.
Is because of this song.
Okay.
Because it was a Dr. Demento staple, right?
Yeah. He played it every week.
I don't know, 6 months or so ago, I made a reference to it, and Matt's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, how do you not know this? And I'm like,
this is what you were talking about earlier when you were like,
yes,
like the abalone.
Abalone. I sing it all the time, all the time, and it comes from this song. And I heard it when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
And it's
oh God, I was listening to it today because before I sent it to you, and I was like, I remember because I heard this song when I was 12 or 13 or something. And I bet you I didn't get half the fucking jokes because it's actually fairly raunchy.
It is.
Except for their puns. So you don't necessarily, until you have a frame of reference. Now I'm like, oh boy.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I played it for Matt after and I'm like, oh, okay.
It's fairly ribald.
But the first time I heard it, I was probably about the same age, because since we're about the same age.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, absolutely. So some of them, I'm not going to read everything, but there's so I pulled into first of all, before I read any of these, the whole idea of Wet Dream is that everything's a fish pun or
underwater or something.
Underwater pun.
Yeah.
So, and it's all this talky, like everything's spoken word.
It's like so he's like a film noir detective, and he's giving you the backstory.
Exactly.
Kinda.
So it starts out with a little, backstory for you. And one of the lines is, so I pulled into a Shell station They said I had a blown seal.
So they said I'd blown a seal.
Blown a seal. Yeah, well,
and I said, leave my private life out of it.
Yeah, fix the damn thing. I'll leave my private life out of it. Okay, Belle? Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, it helps if I'm not drunk when I'm reading the things, but that's the show, folks. The show is that we're drunk. But there's so many, like a person named Gil, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. You have to yell, he's hard of herring.
Right.
Like little things like that. And it's so fucking funny. Yeah. Obviously, this guy spent hours writing this shit. So yeah.
I bellied up to the sandbar. He poured me the usual rusty snail. Hold the grunion, shaken, not stirred. With a peanut butter and jellyfish sandwich.
Yeah.
Heavy on the Mako.
I slipped him a fin on purpose. Like there's so, and like one of my favorites is salmon chanted evening.
Salmon chanted
evening.
Actually, every time I hear some enchanted evening, I think that's the one that triggers me.
That's the one that triggers me.
Always a salmon chanted evening. It comes in my head.
Because where's the part, the one that always gets me, that I still say.
He's talking about the haddock. Yeah, this is this paragraph here somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So the whole idea, there's some shenanigans happening. Blah blah blah. Story. Go listen to the song. But it said, "Don't you come trolling around here? What a crab!" This guy was steamed. I could see the anchor in his eyes. I turned to him and said, baloney, you're just being shellfish. And like literally every time I hear something that's like, where you would say baloney or, like
you
that's
say baloney.
My brain immediately goes to baloney. And there it's twofold, right? Because there's also, it goes to that. And then a big fan of Bloom County.
Yeah.
And there was a Bloom County Christmas special, A Wish for Wings That Work, that came out many, many years ago. Barely anybody watched, but it's worth watching.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing this.
Oh my God. I think it's on YouTube.
Because I can't visualize what the voices of any of the characters.
Oh my God. And when you hear it, I don't know who does the voice of Opus the Penguin, but it is the voice of Opus.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't have ever known.
Because that's one of those things that drives me crazy is like when your expectation, like if you read something, like when you watch a movie based on a book you read and then like the castings are wrong and you're like, oh, no, I can't, this guy's not the guy I imagined, A
Wish for Wings That Work is fantastic. But it's so abalone also because there's a whole point in which Opus is mad that his girlfriend left him for an albatross.
Oh.
The joke is it's an albatross, right? Because the albatross around your neck joke. And he's screaming and he's running around and going, she left me for an albatross. So abalone and she left me for an albatross are just ingrained in my brain in the same place.
I see.
And no matter
things
what,
that start with alb
or that are ocean based.
Okay, ocean based things that start with alb.
Yeah, that's my brain. That's where my brain goes.
It makes it. There's a folder just for those things.
There it is.
Those references right there. That's where they go.
But the song ends with, "She said things I just couldn't fathom."
She doesn't put Jessica Alba in there because she doesn't have anything.
Yeah,
to do
I don't have any. Yeah, that's true. She was too deep. Seemed to be under a lot of pressure. Boy, could she drink. She drank a lot. My favorite part is where that's what makes it comedy, right?
Oh yeah, because he could say the obvious thing,
right? That's the clear
but it's
joke.
Wink,
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God,
I like that. No, it's very clever. And if you don't know Kippadada, go look up Kippadada later on YouTube. Watch everything you can find. You'll enjoy the heck out if you like puns. If you hate puns like my friend Teddy in Baltimore. Then you won't like Kippadada at all. Like you'll think he's the worst comedian that ever lived.
It's true. But if you and they're like,
but this guy, he really made a career of it.
He really did. But specifically of making songs about it.
Just do a song.
That's a very niche. Because I would also say Stephen Wright's entire act is puns.
Okay.
But he just delivers them straight.
Yeah.
He'll set up the joke and then give you the pun.
Okay.
And that's it. That's the entire joke. And if you're not, because it not only straight, deadpan.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
With no intonation, no inflection.
Did you write down at least one Stephen Wright joke?
No, I should have.
Why not?
I don't know.
All right, I'll look one up while we're talking.
Look up a Stephen Wright joke while we're talking.
All right.
So while you look that up here, let me just read it. So again, I looked up an assload of puns. I tried to find like the best puns or the this puns. And to be fair, most of them are wordplay. They're not puns like jewelry or like paralegal or those sorts of things. They're mostly wordplay. But like, for example, my ceiling isn't the best, but it's up there. Like, that's really just a dad. It's funny, but it's a dad joke. I mean, it is a pun,
got you.
But it's also a dad joke.
Yeah.
Like, I love whiteboards. They're remarkable. Right? But, and there's, there's some, and again, like to the point of the conversation, their context, some puns are oral, like when you hear them, they're funny. Some puns are only funny when they're written.
That's true too. Yeah. Because of the idiosyncrasies of the English language, some of them only work when written, and some of them only work when heard.
Exactly. Like there was one somewhere in here. Oh yeah. My wife told me to stop speaking in numbers, but I didn't want to. And only if you see that it's the numbers. And
that reminds me of one of my favorite jokes about did you hear about how the Orange Peel hired a new sound guy? He's a Serb. They also got a Czech one too.
Oh God, that's terrible.
But it's also kind of funny. I mean, it used to be funnier.
It was.
I've heard it enough times now where it's not funny to me anymore. But it's one I remember.
Right.
And I didn't think about it as being a pun, but it is a pun. That's why it's funny.
Check
in general. Check because check.
Check. Yes.
Check, please. That whole. Anyway.
And becoming a vegetarian is a big mistake. Like that's a written pun. It's funny, but it's better when it's written. Yeah. I get 27% funny.
Is that right?
Did you find a Stephen Wright joke?
I'm going through a list of Stephen Wright jokes.
And you're like, these are dumb.
These are not, they're not puns. So far, they're not puns.
Some of them are.
Some of them might be, but I have not yet hit the one that is a pun.
And Adam lost an electron. It really should keep an eye on them.
Oh boy.
Right. What does C.S. Lewis keep in his wardrobe? Narnia business.
Okay.
See, exactly.
Okay.
Acupuncture is a jab well done. See, I mean, these are dad jokes, to be fair.
Yeah.
They're not that funny, but they're funny enough.
All right.
Stephen Wright does have puns, I can promise you. But if you cannot
fair,
find
them, but I'm going through a list of them, and I haven't yet hit one that was like what I'd consider a pun.
Two antennas got married. The ceremony wasn't much, but the reception was excellent.
That's a good. I do like that joke. That's a funny joke.
Just found out sticks float. They would.
Okay, how about this one?
Oh,
I don't know if this is a pun or not. Now,
well, it could be. Now everything wordplay. And
if
puns.
you shoot a mime, should you use a silencer?
I mean, it's.
I don't know if that's a pun or not. That's not really a pun. I don't know.
I mean, it could be.
That's the closest one so far I've hit.
Although Stephen Wright is also just dry as shit. So
yeah, some of his is just really dry jokes. I mean, like he had this really good one, and it's not a pun. I'm sorry, I'm going to go off here, but this is his best joke. Is that a friend of mine loaned me a Philip Glass album? I listened to it for like 45 minutes before I realized it was skipping.
Not a pun, but hilarious.
But hilarious, exactly.
But hilarious. All right, I'm clearly not so.
I'm addicted to placebos.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's a pun. It's not a pun.
It's not, but it's funny.
But it's funny.
Maybe that's part of the thing that jokes are so dry they feel like puns.
You know who else had really dry jokes like this was Bill Hicks.
Yeah,
Bill Hicks had the best dry jokes like that. Just oh god. This is also not a pun. Sorry, but I'm going to say it because I brought up Bill Hicks. But this is one of my favorite ones. It's like rice is a really good thing to eat if you want to eat 2,000 of something.
I actually do genuinely like Yeah. Oh, here's a good one. I met my wife on a dating site. We just clicked. Funny.
Funny and true.
Yeah, well, right. I mean,
I can relatable
for you, because you literally did. I did. Oh. Here's this is what I want to talk about.
Okay.
I'll get back to that. So music.
Oh yeah. It's a big thing in music.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So even if it's not the actual song, even if the song isn't funny, especially in country music,
the title or the refrain will be. Although I was so I went on this whole tangent after I sent you some of these things, and I started reading all these articles about it. Aside from country, the big thing, Cole Porter was a big pun user.
All right,
in his writing.
That tracks.
And musicals do this also.
Musicals do, but it's because it's the joke. Like, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Crazy, because when you said that, my mind went to Crazy Ex-Girlfriend,
sure.
which had a ton of.
So musicals do it a lot. I would say, so the thing I read this really interesting article that said though that here's the thing, that when musicals do it, it's usually pretty surface level, whereas country music has a tendency to dig a little bit with it, which is crazy because you think of country music as being pretty stupid, but when they write a song around a pun, it tends to get deep and dark. Actually.
Right.
But it is one of my, I will say some of my favorite country songs are, I was telling Laura this, the best written country songs to me are either they take a pun and run with it, or they take an idiom and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other thing. I'm not going to go into ones that are just an idiom that they went crazy with, but there were, I could off the top of my head name you several with a good pun, and I sent her a handful.
You did one, for example, was Jerry Reed, right?
Yeah, she got the gold mine, I got the shaft. Everybody knows this fucking song. It's about a divorce, but that's funny. Like he means, you know, he's saying we split everything up, but I got the bad part,
right? which led me to a song, and it's probably, to be fair, in like a style parody of that. One of my favorite artists, comedy artists, is Paul and Storm. And they have a song called She Left Me. And literally the lyrics are, she cut me in half. She left me. Because
she left the left part.
She left the left part of me.
Yeah, I got you.
And it's a hilarious song.
But you think it's a subtle reference to the Jerry Reed song?
No, I didn't.
But then you heard that and you're like,
yeah. Then I heard,
because they would clearly be familiar with this song
for sure. Absolutely, absolutely.
I meant to look up also because I was reading like I'm sure what's his name, Miller. Roger Miller. I'm sure he's got some fucking really good puns and some songs, because that guy was, this is the guy he was the voice of the bard in the Disney Robin Hood.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But he wrote a bunch of clever fucking songs back in the 50s and 60s that were, just kind of novelty songs, but not really. Like they were actually went number one. Like they were very popular songs, but I mean, he's the guy who wrote King of the Road. King of the Road.
Yeah, everybody knows King of the Road. Right.
So anyway,
Well, and you mentioned Queen of Denial.
Yeah, Queen of Denial by Pam Tillis, who's Mel Tillis's daughter.
Right.
Who had also a very good country. But I actually owned this CD back in the. There was what I call I don't know. It was probably like the third nexus of good country music, and that year was 1992 or 3, somewhere around there. There coalesced a bunch of brilliant fucking songwriting, and
before country got racist.
Yeah,
right before.
Yeah, it was like, but it was all just
90s country got.
It was all just peppy. I think one of the things, like everything was upbeat, like the tempos were upbeat. Rather, I'm not saying all the subject matter was upbeat, but the tempos were all upbeat. The shit was clever. It was written like a 1930s musical. Like everything was so fucking clever. And one of the songs was this song by Pam Tillis called "Cleopatra, Queen of Denial," and she's basically, the whole song is her talking about how she's got this man who treats her shittily. But she keeps thinking like, well, it'll work out because she's Cleopatra, Queen of Denial.
Right. Right. Well, and that beats, I mean, before country got racist twice, like, because then in the late 90s, like, got super hella racist, right? And then it started to come back around, and now it's racist again.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can't try that in a small town.
Yeah.
And that's, we won't even, that's
you can't do that on television.
Can't do that. And then you sent me a couple songs that are not country songs, although country artists are very good at this. But you sent me They Might Be Giants rhythm section.
Yeah, rhythm section 1 ad, which has one of my favorite lines in a They Might Be Giants song, which is he says, what does he say?
Oh God, I didn't write it down.
Oh my God.
Look at the text. You sent me the text earlier.
I did send you the text.
You can see it in our conversation but yes, it was very specific.
Oh yes. There's a place for those who love their poetry. It's just across from a sign that says prose only. And this is one of those audible things, because when you read it, it says prose, like not amateurs, but the gag is prose,
not poetry.
Not poetry.
Yes, that is not.
And I just always love that line in that song. I've always thought it was like very clever.
Yes. Oh yes, absolutely. Jimmy, we love you. I remember the first time I listened to Einstein on the Beach by Philip Glass. It's hours and hours long. It's a vague memory and an approximation. I remember there being at least one movement where the same 3 or 4 notes over and over again for like 45 minutes. Yes.
That's the joke.
Yeah, exactly. And to be fair, Philip Glass, I mean, that's as you mentioned earlier, but Philip Glass is to music what puns are to language.
Kind of.
Like his entire situation.
Here's the thing with Philip Glass. He's not good music, but he's good for music.
Correct.
Like I don't want to listen to that shit, but I'm glad it happened.
I'm glad it happened
because it helped push music in a direction. You know,
yeah, for sure. No,
there's things that I do like that are based on Philip Glass, like Laurie Anderson.
Yeah,
I feel like probably is a stepping Philip Glass was a stepping stone to Laurie Anderson, and she's done some things that I do like. I don't really like Philip Glass, but I appreciate that it exists anyway.
Well, my first experience with my introduction to Philip Glass was a guy I knew in college played for me Oedipus Tex, and I was like, "The fuck is this?" But Oedipus Tex obviously is in and of itself a pun.
Okay, yeah,
as a title,
absolutely.
And the entire it elevates the pun to combining American culture with
it's kind of like Help 'Em a Rock.
Yeah, it is Help 'Em a Rock,
right? Because there's a one point during Help 'Em a Rock where somebody in the back is saying Help 'Em a Cop.
Yes,
and
Help 'Em a Cop,
and they're overlapping each other, so that the joke is Help 'Em a Cock, right?
Right. I love that's the. And not a pun specifically, and it is, but to that end, like we've talked about this before, I love Frank Zappa, not as a person, because he was kind of a trash person,
yes,
but as an artist, because as an artist, he was like, I love when shit gets absurd.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna Help 'Em a Rock was so fucking bizarre. The first time I heard it, I was like, holy shit, this is insane.
And he does a good job of it's
Help 'Em a box.
Like puns, Frank Zappa did a good job of juxtaposing the highbrow and the lowbrow.
Yes.
Like musically, he was very highbrow. He thought very hard about his compositions, but then all his fucking songs are like silly dumb shit, like scatological humor,
right?
Like eating pee or something.
Absolutely. No, in fact, so as you know, yes, Toast was just here briefly. But as you know,
we're just like a dork,
right? But I make mixes for all the holidays. I love listening to seasonal music, right? So I have a huge 9-hour Halloween mix.
Okay.
And one of the songs is Goblin Girl by Frank Zappa.
Okay.
Well, it turns out the song is some literal bullshit. It's literally about girls who would give head. It's a goblin girl.
Oh, it's a pun.
And it is a pun.
Yeah.
But it's a sexist trashy, disgusting pun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think the song kind of rocks, but it's also trash.
Yeah.
Like, and how do you
You gotta have this couple of things in your playlist where you're like, it's problematic, but I like it.
I do. I have more than a few of
I
those.
like that. I'm like, Gary Glitter.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Kind of rocks, but it's problematic as fuck.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know?
So, no matter how kind you are, German children are kinder.
That's a written one.
That's a written one.
It doesn't pronounce that it's Kinder, but
Kinder, yeah.
Yeah.
Who designed King Arthur's Round Table? Circumference.
Oh gosh. Yeah, did you see? You remember the joke from what was the show that came on? The girl, something on Earth. What's her name?
Oh, Kunk on Earth.
Kunk on Earth.
Yeah.
And she was like, so King Arthur came a lot, and the woman was like, "What?" She's like, "No, you're talking about Camelot." She's like, "Oh, so he just like the normal amount then?"
Yeah, exactly. Oh, if you want puns, and they're again, like some other comedians, they're played straight, right?
Yeah.
Like Kunk on Earth, I think was one of the funniest things I saw last year, and it's so ridiculous. So if you're not familiar, British comedian has a character, Philomena Kunk, and she's a interviewer, because she's
I guess she's doing a documentary. She's the host of a documentary, but she doesn't really know anything.
Correct.
Like, she's oblivious to everything.
She interviews experts, and the best part about this is they actually interview real experts. But as it turns out, they are in on the joke, because if they weren't in on the joke, it would sound terribly exploitative.
Right.
But they're all in on the joke.
Okay.
And so they know. But the people being interviewed are actual experts and are actually trying to answer her questions legitimately,
as factually as they can.
But she's asking the stupidest questions. And it's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like, I could not, if you have not watched Kunk on Earth, I cannot recommend it highly enough. I thought it was hilarious.
I loved it because it's got a returning joke, which is one of my favorite bits that you can do in comedy. It's an old Steve Martin used to be the king of this back in the day. He doesn't do it as much anymore. I haven't seen him do it in years. But in old Steve Martin bits, he used to do this where he would take a bit and run it into the fucking ground.
Yes.
And I love when somebody runs a bit into the ground. Like, that's one of my favorite. Yeah, the Afraid Not. Oh, Jesus. I used to have, oh, God, Heather.
That is one of my all-time favorite jokes.
Heather, I used to have on my desk when I worked at the bank, I used to have a little thing. Yeah, it was actually a knot where with googly eyes. And his hair was all like tasseled, and it said, "Am I stressed? I'm afraid not," or something.
Yeah, I have told this. I've told versions of this joke many times. Like, it's one of the few like scripted jokes.
Yeah,
and it is the afraid not story, because it's a good one.
Yeah.
But wait, no, we got another one. Alan Turing, the rare man who discovered computers, is now a national hero, and people queue for ages to touch the Turing shroud. That's funny. But again, that's a wordplay. Like, it's a pun and also a wordplay.
The Shroud of Turing.
The Shroud of Turing.
Okay.
Yes. So, yes, puns are funny is what we're getting at. But and go listen to Wet Dream and other things.
Yeah, because Kip Adada was so good at puns that Marvel should have contacted him to play the Punisher.
That is Kunk. Yes. LOL.
Yeah.
It is. Yes, the Punisher. No, I actually looked, because often before the show, I'll put on like a playlist related to and I actually looked up pun. I just typed in puns. You cannot find a playlist.
You couldn't find a pun playlist. We
no, everything was Punisher playlist.
I sent you 6 songs before the show. I know. I thought about it. And I was like, I should put together a pun playlist. Clearly, I should, because there isn't one. There isn't one.
No, you really should.
I will now make one.
You really should. So, all right. I do hear the dulcet sounds of a pizza being made for us.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I am starving because, because we have the time change. So our whole systems are off, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's 8:00 but it's really 7 Glidone. Time changes are weird. Let's not do that.
Oh
anymore.
gosh, yeah. And I have been feeling it. And I'm gonna be like sleepy for a week. I feel
God,
like
yes.
like I have not yet been right since the whole thing happened.
Well, it only happened 2 days ago.
I guess there's that.
But-
I haven't had a lot of time to adjust to it, but I'm just saying I'm still sore about it.
One of my favorite jokes, one of my favorite puns, technically, is the meme that is a play on Simon and Garfunkel. Hello, darkness, my old friend. So you'll come at 5 p.m.
Technically, the mnemonic device about the time change is also a pun.
Fall back, spring forward.
Yeah,
100%.
there you go. Yeah.
Yes, I do actually really like that. One of my favorite things is the fact that we've created a pop culture version of that with memes. Right, the share.
Oh, the share,
one,
share
right?
with your friend. Yeah.
Can you turn back time?
Yeah.
Share with,
your friends. Yeah.
But what gets me
I always look forward to that one.
I look for exactly. I look forward to that one. But what amused me was when people post that one in the spring. Like, no.
That's the fall one.
That is incorrect.
That's the fall one. You need to come up with a different one for the spring.
You gotta have a forward.
Yeah.
You gotta have a forward. Exactly. Heather, you do not disappoint. Yes, it does cure all my ailments. Cheers.
Yeah.
All right, but we're gonna go eat some pizza because Bill has a pizza, and so why don't you take us away?
All righty. Bill Has Opinions, engineered and produced by Laura Lavoie. The opinions of Bill are his and his alone, and unless they agree in which they shared that opinion. Not a lot of disagreements about puns.
Really?
It wasn't contentious, was
They're just
it?
universal.
Yeah, you either like them or you don't, and I guess we like them, so fair enough. What else? Be sure to like and subscribe on
Facebook
and Instagram. No, it's like and subscribe on
YouTube.
Follow us on Facebook. Hashtag Opinion Gang. Also hashtag Can't Miss Bullshit. That's our new hashtag. Also,
Can't Miss Bullshit.
Can't Miss Bullshit. If you have something to say about
I have to write that down.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas for future shows, you can let us know. We'll be back next Monday with a show about what?
The Muppets.
The Muppets.
We're gonna dive deep into Gen X nostalgia.
Oh my gosh! All right. Well, we'll get things started next week on this show. So catch us then. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Same Kermit time.
Sure. Hi ho. We'll see you then.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye. I love you. Bye.
Bye.